Something remarkable and slow is happening. Not quite the full reunion, but not quite a second divorce. In the cool corridors of Brussels and Whitehall, there's now the gentle hum of rapprochement. And I'm not referring to the awkward handshake at the EU summit, but to something much subtler. Puffins and boardrooms are inching us back towards sanity. The European Commission, in a move so understated it barely raised an eyebrow in Strasbourg, is preparing legislation to ease the recognition of British professional qualifications within the bloc. This has been a key British demand since Brexit, though many EU diplomats might rather share an espresso than their internal market. For the UK lawyers, for engineers, for bankers, it means that while visas may still be needed, the thicket of bureaucratic obstacles may be thinned. Chancellor Rachel Reeves, who has declared Europe more vital to our economic future than even the United States, has pushed hard for this. She understands that growth can't be generated by slogans, but by rejoining this world, one trade barrier at a time. Let's not be naive. The proposed legislation still needs EU parliamentary approval, and this is Brussels. This means a process that makes molasses look brisk. Yet beyond commerce, there's a quiet consensus re-emerging, a belief in shared values, particularly on climate, and at a time when global cooperation feels like a thing of the past, London and Brussels appear ready to co-author at least a few sentences of the future. From puffins to pollution, conservation has become oddly diplomatic. Take the case of the sand eels, small fish beloved of puffins and kittiwakes, still fiercely contested by Danish trawlers and Swedish fishing giants. And when the UK banned sand eel fishing to protect seabird populations, the EU cried foul and took Britain to an international tribunal. The result? Britain won. And the tribunal upheld the Scottish ban and only mildly rebuked England for not ticking a few boxes. Environmentalists hailed it as a victory for science over narrow interests and for puffins over pig feed. Charles Clover of the Blue Marine Foundation called it a big win for conservation, and one might add a quiet confirmation that post-Brexit Britain can still lead in areas of global concern. But fish, as ever, remain the thorniest of subjects. Negotiations have resumed over the expiring fishing agreement. Brussels wants 5 years, London says 2. France, brandishing its tricolour and trawlers, warns that no fish means no defence pact. This might seem provincial, but these disputes matter because they symbolise sovereignty, livelihoods, national identity. Boris Johnson once sent warships to Jersey over a fishing spat. Today, Keir Starmer is trying to avoid doing the same, while securing a veterinary deal to smooth the passage of British beef and cheese across the Channel. Crucially, the EU is still unwilling to re-share security data. That red line remains. Yet in other areas, business, conservation, youth mobility, there are glimmers of movement. Brussels has proposed a scheme for under-30s to live and work across borders for up to 3 years. London is wary, too aware of the immigration headlines. But the symbolism is clear, the will to cooperate, not capitulate. This isn't an rekindled romance, it's more a détente between estranged neighbours now willing to share a hedge trimmer and talk about the weather. And so we find ourselves in a curious moment, puffins protected, professionals poised to travel, and the possibility of a modest UK-EU summit on May the 19th that might just yield more than photo opportunities. The headline, Britain rejoins Europe, well, it isn't that, it's subtler, perhaps more British. Britain agrees to disagree more loudly. Let's not underestimate the importance of small steps. In a world of instability, a few quiet agreements between neighbours on jobs, on fish, on puffins, and even pollution might be more radical than any revolution.